Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The Supreme Court is taking up a partisan legal fight over President Joe Biden's plan to end or reduce student loans held by millions of Americans. The High Court, with a 6-3 conservative majority, is hearing arguments in two challenges to the plan, one by 6 Republican-led states. Republican-appointed judges on lower courts have blocked it from going into effect. Student debt holders rallied outside the Supreme Court in support of the plan that would cancel up to $20,000 in student loans for low-income debt holders and $10,000 in loans for those making more than $125,000 a year. Detroit Democrat Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib spoke in support of the president's debt cancellation plan.
We all know the President of the United States has every legal authority to cancel debt in our country. You know, these are the same people that all of a sudden won't say anything about any legal authority when it comes to corporations, when it comes to corporate greed in our country. But when it comes to helping working class people.
The Biden administration says 26 million people have applied and 16 million have been approved to have up to $20,000 in student loans forgiven. The program is estimated to cost $400 billion over 30 years. President Joe Biden said in a statement on social media the relief is critical to over 40 million Americans as they recover from the economic crisis caused by the pandemic. We're confident it's legal and we're fighting for it in court, he wrote. A special House committee dedicated to countering China holds its first meeting today. The topic is expected to unite both sides of the aisle. The House committee's chair, Wisconsin Republican Mike Gallagher, says he's looking to bridge differences rather than exploit them. His first efforts in that regard will be a hearing focused on informing the U.S. about the threat posed by the Chinese Communist Party. He says he hopes the committee will issue a set of recommendations on long-term policies for dealing with China, as well as pass legislation. Among those to testify today include a human rights advocate who was imprisoned in China. Meanwhile, a House Foreign Affairs Committee will consider legislation to ban the use of TikTok, a Chinese-owned social media app. The ACLU is opposing the move, citing the First Amendment right to free speech. It comes as the White House is giving federal agencies 30 days to delete TikTok from all government-issued mobile devices amid growing concerns of security. Canada announced a similar ban. Congress, the White House itself, and more than half of U.S. states have already banned TikTok from government employees. They're concerned China could use its legal and regulatory powers to obtain private user data or try to push misinformation or narratives favoring China. More than 2/3 of American teens use TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company that moved its headquarters to Singapore in 2020. China says it's been open and transparent in the search for the origins of COVID-19 after questions about how the pandemic began received new attention from a Department of Energy assessment that, with low confidence, found the origins began with the leak of a virus from a lab in Wuhan, China. China's foreign ministry spokesperson in Beijing told reporters the country had shared the most data and research results on virus tracing. She accused the U.S. of politicizing the issue, saying it won't smear China but will only damage U.S. credibility. Court documents show Fox Corporation Chairman Rupert Murdoch acknowledged some Fox News commentators endorsed false allegations of a stolen 2020 presidential election. Those allegations are at the heart of a defamation lawsuit against the cable news giant by Dominion Voting Systems. In court filings released Monday referencing Murdoch's deposition, Dominion says he acknowledged Fox commentators Lou Dobbs, Maria Bartiromo, Jeanine Pirro, and Sean Hannity endorsed the false notion of a stolen election. Attorneys for Fox note Murdoch testified he never discussed Dominion or voter fraud with any of the accused hosts. The Biden administration says it's creating a new task force to crack down on an explosion of the illegal exploitation of migrant children for labor in the U.S. Hundreds of companies that employed nearly 4,000 children last year were found in violation of federal labor laws, a dramatic increase in the last 5 years. The growing problem has put Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra in the hot seat, with concerns mounting migrant children have been discharged from shelters and out of federal custody too quickly, pushing them into vulnerable situations where they're more likely to become victims of exploitative child labor. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the Wounded Knee occupation in South Dakota. Indigenous activists are marching across the country to commemorate the action. It was one of a string of protests from 1969 to 1973 that pushed the American Indian movement to the forefront of Native activism. It culminated with 2 Indigenous men killed. Also, an African-American activist, Ray Robinson, was also killed. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.